I don't understand why it's not going on. I looked and it wasn't showing.
Oh,
I don't understand why it's not streaming.
so I've been sitting here and it's not streaming. It's not doing anything.
No, because I went in there and it's not streaming.
Oh, so I've
There we
just
go.
okay. Well, what was wrong?
I don't know. I looked and it wasn't showing.
Okay, that's crazy. So I'm gonna have to go start at the
No,
beginning.
it was. I think it just didn't update. I think it's working.
Okay.
You can ask, is anybody?
Well, I said, can everyone hear me? Nobody answered, so I didn't
Around
know.
5 people watching, so you should be.
Okay.
There you go. You're live.
Oh,
Now we're live, maybe.
thank you, Scott's Wrestling Collection. I think we were having some technical issues. I'm not sure. Um, okay, so oh, I'm sorry for the distractions in the background. We do have four dogs, and every time the doors open, Sammy gets all I've been out of shape. But anyway, I'm waiting for Steve to go away again because he makes me nervous when he's standing around. Not that I want to get rid of him, but so okay. So since Scott's Wrestling Collection said you're live, I'm assuming everybody can hear me and see me now, despite a little bit of a delay. I'm not sure what happened at first, but I'll just go over this real quickly. This is just a test stream. I am using Steve's setup because I'm having to wait to have my channel activated to be able to do live streams. There's a 24-hour wait before you can stream live. So I am, needless to say, I'm using Steve's OBS setup. I'm using his YouTube channel. So you will see Steve Benningfield on there. Unfortunately, anybody that was wanting to see Steve is not going to get to see Steve. You're going to be stuck with me tonight. So, what I had planned to do with this is have a little bit of a test run to see how this is going to go. I will answer or try to answer any questions that you guys may put in the chat. I am looking at the chat as I am talking. And hopefully I will eventually be able to use my own setup. Um, I'm on, like I said, I'm on Steve's OBS setup. I'm on his YouTube channel. I am on his PC right now. But hopefully I will be able to do this from my setup in the future as soon as everything gets activated and set up properly. And I also hope to have Jenny on here for some future episodes. Unfortunately, right now, Jenny's plate is kind of full. Um, she was doing the Seductive Poison podcast with me. Uh, it's been a while now, and we did do an episode when right about the time that I moved to Louisville and got married. But something happened on my end, of course, where the episode did not get fully recorded. So you've got like the first few minutes, and so I never did put that out. But I hope to have Jenny on some podcasts. I hope to have her with me on some live streams in the future, and when her schedule kind of eases up a little bit because she is a mother. Uh, she is she has a job and she has went back to school. So her like her I said her plate is really full right now. And so I'm going to just have to find some time when she can participate in this with me. Darren, I'm planning on getting back into podcasting, yes. And I am also planning on doing more with the Blood Type magazine. For anybody that remembers my Blood Type magazine that I did way back in the early days of when I was participating in Dead Pit more often. Um, I had a fanzine called Blood Type that I sent out for free to people. Um, Unfortunately, now I'm asking for like $5 for a subscription, but that gets you like 6 issues a year or whatever. But I will be honest with you, the time constraints have been really rough on me, and it's been hard to get interviews with people, or get people to respond back to you. They say, "Hey, we'll do an interview," and then like weeks go by, and you check in with them, and it's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Can you resend me the questions?" And then it just it's a vicious circle. Thanks, Darren. I'm glad that somebody thinks that's great that I'm thinking about getting back into that. Um, let's see. So that's kind of that's the big news items. But with this, I'm doing a test stream, just kind of gonna bullshit for a little bit, hang out with you guys that are in here, and maybe answer any questions that you have. Like I said, I'm glancing at the chat over here. And I want to apologize again for any of you that have seen some of this information previously when I was on Steve's live stream, the Captain's Quarters stream. Um, hey, Wesley. Uh, Wes is in here from Dead Pit Radio. I'm sorry, Wes. Jenny, I just explained that Jenny's plate is really, really full right now, and I hope to have her on the show at a later date when her schedule is not so crazy. Um, Thank you, Scott's Wrestling Collection. I did get the Darcy. I'll kind of slide out so you guys can see the Darcy the Mail Girl shirt. That is from Fright Rags, and for anybody that's been watching The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs, you know who Darcy is. For those of you that have not met Darcy in person, I highly recommend meeting her when she's at some of the shows with Joe Bob. Um, we went to, Steve and I went to a show last February, I believe, right before the COVID stuff got really crazy. And we went to Joe Bob's How Redneck Saved Hollywood show because he and Darcy came to Louisville. And we actually went and saw a show, and it was really, really good. And I got to meet him for the second time, got to meet Darcy for the first time. Um, Really, really cool people if you have not met them. Um, and Also, I think at that show, Honey, the one of the other male girls that Joe Bob has had on his many incarnations of his show was there, and she still looked really, really beautiful. As did Darcy. I know some people say some things about Darcy that aren't very nice, and I'll be honest. The first time I saw Darcy on the last drive-in, I was a little bit taken aback by her at first. I didn't know what to think about her, but the more I heard about her, the more I respected her, and she's a really, really great person. Um, she had a rough upbringing, I think. If you've read any of her blogs or seen where she talks about growing up and her mom telling her how ugly she was and all this stuff, it's really terrible. And for her to rise up out of that and be what she is now, um, I'm not a big proponent of porno movies, and she has been in some. But that's beside the point. You know, I can look over that if the person has other qualities that make them a great person. The porno stuff can, pass is past, and we can move on from that. But anyway, I didn't want to be too long on one thing, but I did want to bring up the fact that you guys definitely need to meet Darcy if you get a chance. Um, if you have not already met her, and Joe Bob as well. Yes, Scott, Darcy is super nice, and she is a legit monster kid. I think she grew up like a lot of us, being, kind of feeling like an outcast. I know I always felt like, uh, yeah, Wes, I'm sure that Steve knows her from her porns. Because I think he was the first person that told me that she was in pornos. So, yes, Steve is, I don't want to say he's an aficionado when it comes to porns, but, you know, what man hasn't seen a few pornos in his life? So, anyway, yeah, I think Darcy probably grew up feeling sort of like an outcast, like a lot of us that are into the horror movies and stuff. Maybe some of us don't feel like that, but I know I always did growing up. Um, Felt like I was just removed from a lot of the people in my hometown because my hometown didn't have a lot of horror fans in it. Little old Hancock County was as kind of straight laced as you could get. And you would mention horror films to most people and be like, what in the world are you talking to or talking about? Why do you like that? And so you really didn't feel like you had any camaraderie with people because they just weren't into that stuff. Um, when I started getting friends that were into that stuff was when I started going to horror conventions because it opened up a whole new world for me. Where I was meeting people that were generally interested in this stuff. They wanted to talk about it with you. And so that really, like I said, opened up a whole new world for me. It's how I met Steve, so I can be thankful for that. Of course, uh, Wes in the whole Dead Pit universe, I can thank Wes in particular for getting Steve and I together. I'm sure he'll be glad to hear that. And so anyway, moving on to, I'm sorry for the background noise. I'm gonna have to get up for a second. I will be right back. Just hold on. Come on, Sandy. I apologize for that. That's probably going to happen quite a bit during this stream because I don't have anybody to wrangle the dogs while I'm doing this. Steve is resting currently. He helped me get this set up, and now I told him he should rest because that's going to segue me into the next part of this live stream. No, Wes, I don't want to stab you for that. Um, Steve and I, as most married couples, have had ups and downs, but we love each other, and you know, I I wouldn't take anything in the world for Steve. I mean, I've been angry and said things about Steve, and I won't get into it on here, but I do love him, and I know he loves me, so that's that. But anyway, to segue into what I was going to start talking about was um, Steve and I recently had a death in the family of one of our fur babies, um, Linnea. As many of you that are friends of ours on Facebook have probably seen, Linnea was 15. She recently passed away. Uh, she got sick suddenly. She was an older girl and she passed. Um, so, needless to say, Steve and I have not been really cheery lately. It wasn't a real good Easter for us. And so I've been trying to find things that will occupy my mind so I'm not just dwelling. Uh, I don't want to forget my dog. She'd been with Steve and I for 10 years. And she was a rescue. I actually got her before, a little bit before I moved to Louisville and married Steve. So I had her a little bit longer than Steve and I had her together, but we had her for 8 years. She was with us, or she has been with us for the entire duration of our marriage up until last Monday, unfortunately. So, like I said, I have been trying to come up with some things to occupy my mind so I'm not just completely dwelling on the sadness that has occurred to us recently. So last night I decided that I was going to just watch some just really crazy off the wall movies that some of them well, at least one of them that I watched last night was it's an awful movie, but it's entertaining. And that was the point. I just wanted something that I didn't have to think about a lot, that was entertaining and bad, and just would take my mind off a lot of the bad stuff that's been happening recently. The first one I watched last night was the original Basket Case. This is the Arrow release of this. And like I was saying before the stream was live, and I didn't know it wasn't live, uh, this is probably the best you're going to see Basket Case. Basket Case was a low budget movie, as many of you know, directed by Frank Henenlotter. I met Frank Henenlotter a few years back at a Cinema Wasteland convention. He was really cool. Um, Typical New York guy. He signed my other blue. Or, no, actually, I purchased a Blu-ray, a Basket Case, not the Arrow release, but a previous release, and he signed it for me. And I talked to him for a little bit, and that was that. Generally, when I meet people at conventions, I don't like to take up a lot of their time because, heck, they've heard everything. If they've been in the business for any amount of time and been at these conventions for any amount of time, they've heard just about every declaration from a fan. And so I try not to, I'm not saying if you do this, you're wrong. But I try not to gush too much to these people because there's probably not one thing that I can say to them that they haven't already heard a half a million times already. So, anyway, I did watch Basket Case again last night because Basket Case is one of those really crazy, fun movies. Anybody that's familiar with Frank Henenlotter's work knows that that's his forte. He does some crazy ass movies. He did Basket Case. He did Frankenhooker. He did Bad Biology, which unfortunately is one that I haven't seen yet. I think Steve has it. I probably need to pull his copy out and watch it at some point. Um, but, oh, he did, he also did Brain Damage, which is another crazy film. I would love to get a. I wish somebody would come out with an animated Almer character. Anybody that has seen Brain Damage knows what I'm talking about. It's a little parasitic dude that's hooked onto the back of this guy's head and like gives him LSD like trips, but he has to let Elmer eat people. Um, but that's the trade-off. I'll give you these drug trips. Excuse me. I'll give you these drug trips, but you got to let me eat people. And so that one's another really crazy one. Uh, I watched Basket Case again. I was happy with the quality. The quality was decent. Not on the level of like Zombie Blu-ray when it came out, which was so astounding that as soon as I finished watching that one, I watched it again. Um, and I was trying to think. I think this one has some really good special features on it. This is a 4K restoration, not an actual 4K, but a 4K restoration of it. Keep that in mind. Um, I was a little disappointed in the audio because I had forgotten that the audio was only mono. It's like, why did they even put, I know that's the original mono soundtrack, and some people are purists and they would rather like that. But if you're going to put it on Blu ray, can't we at least have 5.1? I mean, it just makes it so much better, in my opinion, anyway. But yeah, that is one drawback to this. Um, there is a new audio commentary with writer and director Frank Henenlotter and the star Kevin Van Hentrick, which is very entertaining. Um, there's an archival audio commentary with Frank Henenlotter and producer Edgar Levins, and um, and Beverly Bonner and Scooter McCrae. There's a basket case 3.5, an interview with Dwayne Bradley, which, if I remember right, that is it's kind of weird, but it's fun as well. Um, that is a brand new short film by Frank Henenlotter. Me and the Bradley Boys, a brand new interview with actor Kevin Van Hentrick, a brief interview with director Frank Henenlotter, a strange 2017 interview with the director, it says. Um, Seeing Double, the Basket Case Twins. If anybody remembers when Dwayne goes to Dr. Cutter's office, and Dr. Cutter is a veterinarian, there are some nurses that are working for Dr. Cutter, and they're twins. You actually get to see the interview with those twins, which is really interesting. Some people say, well, those are lesser characters. The interview couldn't be that good. But it was. It was a very interesting interview. Um, and I'm not going to go through all of this stuff, but there's quite a bit of stuff as far as special features on that Blu ray from Arrow. And it was good to go back and revisit it. I had a couple, 2 or 3 laughs here and there. Like I said, I'm not as much on my game lately as I usually am. So I maybe need to wait a while and watch it again. But it was good last night to revisit it. And here's one that Steve asked me when I bought it. Why in the world did I buy this movie? And it's Microwave Massacre. This was also put out by Arrow. And it has the late, great Jackie Vernon in a starring role. That's more than enough reason to watch it, isn't it? Is this a good movie? No. No way. Is this a good movie by any stretch of the imagination? Um, but it's an entertaining time waster, and was a way to take my mind off of things for a little bit and kind of get into this weird world of Microwave Massacre. And basically, the story, it doesn't have any really deep story to it. Jackie Vernon plays this guy that works for a construction company, and his wife is one of these really naggy, bitchy wives. And she's got the weirdest freaking microwave I've ever seen in my entire life. It was obviously a fake microwave. And this movie came out in the days when uh, microwaves were still new to everybody, and so it was basically like she could cook anything in this microwave, which it isn't the case. It wasn't the case then. It isn't the case now. Um, Basically, what I use my microwave for is heating up stuff, like reheating pizza or something like that. But in this movie, she could make anything in it. But she was making like really weird stuff that her husband did not care to eat at all. And so he was just getting more and more angry about the stuff that she was giving him and packing in his lunch. And then when he would come home, she was like really, she was being really a bitch to him. I mean, uber bitch to him. And so he goes and he gets really wasted, drunk, and comes home, and in a rage, he kills his wife. And then the next morning, he's all hung over and stuff, and he doesn't remember what happened the night before. He happens to open the microwave, and his wife is dead in the microwave. So instead of just completely losing his mind, he goes, excuse me, I got to let the dogs in. Hold on. Come on, boys. I'm just talking. Steve stepped in here. Steve says hi to everybody. Again, I'm sorry for the interruption, but with the dogs being in here with me, sometimes they want to go in and out. Um, but I said instead of this guy completely losing his mind, he takes his dead wife down in the basement and cuts her up, puts her in the freezer, takes all that crap that she had that she was making him eat out of the freezer, puts his dead wife in there, and systematically proceeds to cook her body parts. And he takes them in his lunch to work, and like the weird guys that he works with on the construction site start trying out his food, and they're like, oh, we really like this, what is it, and what's your secret and all that. And of course he's not gonna tell them, oh, I cut up my dead wife and microwaved her, and this is what I'm offering you. But he essentially gets a he becomes a cannibal. He gets a taste for human flesh and decides he likes it. Um, so he starts killing more women because his buddies at the construction site say, yeah, this is great, but it's a little tough and old. So he gets the idea, oh, I got to go kill younger women so the meat will be, not all tough and old like my wife's body parts were. So that's basic premise of the movie. I don't know how many of you have seen Microwave Massacre. Has anybody besides me seen this movie? I just was wondering what anybody else's take was on this movie. And I realize again that there is a delay on this, so I will I will move on. But if anybody has anything that they want to comment on Microwave Massacre, feel free to do that. Um, there are a few like interviews and stuff on this as well that you might find entertaining. Um, the next thing that was it basically for the weird movies that I watched. Uh, that's all I had time to watch last night before I got really sleepy and went to bed. Um, so I'm going to talk about a myriad of other things. And like I said before, I apologize for those of you that have been on Steve's Captain's Quarter streams where I was on there too, because I'm sure I talked about many of these things on his stream as well. But for those of you that were not on those streams, um, enjoy. The first thing I wanted to talk about was To Hell and Back, the Kane Hodder story. I cannot say enough good things about this documentary. Um, this is probably one of the best documentaries on a horror celebrity that I have watched. Now, I know there's Smoke and Mirrors that's out, but I don't think it's in a DVD or Blu ray format. But it is on Shutter for those of you that have Shutter. You can watch the Tom Savini biography, which is another really, really good biography or a documentary. Uh, but To Hell and Back, if you want to know anything and everything basically about Kane Hodder, about him growing up, about I did not know that he was bullied severely when he was a child. Um, Maybe that has something to do with him wanting to be a stunt man and getting his body built up and stuff like that. I don't think he comes out and says that, um, but it could be. I mean, it could be one of the reasons. It talks about his early stunt career. It talks about for the first time ever. He really opens up about the fire stunt that almost killed him. And anybody that has met Kane Hodder at a convention, you probably noticed that he has burn scars. But I always assumed it was probably something that happened on a movie set or something, and he just never talked about it, and I'm sure people wanted to respect his privacy on that, and people didn't really ask. Um, yes, Scott, To Hell and Back was an amazing documentary, in my opinion. Yes, and it is crazy that he got burned doing a fire stunt for a reporter, and this was early in his career. He was in his early 20s when this happened. And a reporter wanted to do an article on a local stuntman who was, starting his career. And so Kane said, "Yeah, great. We'll go out here and we'll do this fire stunt. I'll do this fire stunt for you, and you can get some cool pictures to go along with the article." And they did this twice. And he says in the documentary, if he had just been satisfied with it the first time around, him getting burnt severely would not ever have happened. But, Kane Hodder, like many of us, is a perfectionist. And if they feel like that something wasn't done the best way that it could be, what person wouldn't want to make it better? And so that's what he did. Unfortunately, the second time he and the reporter went out to a different spot where there was no adequate water supply, where if, you know, something did go wrong, he couldn't just run into the water and put himself out. Uh, and also, the I believe he used rubber cement to light himself on fire. I mean, he put this rubber cement on himself and lit himself on fire. And the rubber cement, he wasn't able to get the rubber cement that he was familiar with using. And so the reporter just went back to her office and got some rubber cement that she had. Unfortunately, he wasn't familiar with it, and as soon as he lit that stuff, his whole body went up in flames. I mean, his hair was burned, he had pieces of his skin falling off. It was just very, it almost sounds too horrific to be true, but I mean, you have to believe it because, I mean, there were pictures, there were, and, honestly, why would somebody lie about something like that? Very that part of the documentary where he talks about the fire stunt is very heart wrenching. Kane Hodder even has to stop a couple of times. I was even crying the first time, or maybe the first couple of times I watched this. I watched it several times because it's just such a great documentary. At least the first couple of times I cried when Kane Hodder was crying. I mean, he had tears in his eyes. And I mean, when a big guy like that is crying, it's even more heart wrenching than just anybody crying. Because, I know guys can cry too. I mean, but it's rough when you see a guy cry for any reason. So, I highly recommend To Hell and Back. If you get the Blu ray, it has over 90 minutes of deleted scenes. So, there's extra stuff that you might not have seen on either Shudder or Amazon Prime. So it's worth the price of it just to get that even. Okay, so another thing I wanted to show, I wanted to show this Tom Savini book that I got. Now, this is not the super uber expensive coffee table book. This is just your mass market hardback copy. But honestly, I'm pleased with it. I know a lot of people that got it from Amazon, like I did, were complaining that it was very cheaply made, and it did cost $60. If I'm remembering right, it cost $60, and they just said that the pages look like they'd been printed at Kinko's and all kinds of stuff. But I have to disagree. Let me just see if I can find one of these color pages and just show you guys this. To me, it doesn't look cheaply made. I think the pictures look good. I mean, I don't know what exactly these people were looking for, but I've been very pleased with it. I've been reading it. I haven't got all the way through it. I've got about a quarter of the way through it. Very interesting. I learned a lot of things about Tom Savini that I didn't even hear him talk about on Smoke and Mirrors. A lot of this stuff that's in the book he talked about on Smoke and Mirrors. But he did not talk about him being kidnapped as a kid and kind of, I guess, as he says in the book, this is kind of hard to talk about. There was no penetration, like he wasn't raped by this guy that kidnapped him, but the guy made him do things to him that were, it's just craziness. I won't go into big details about that. Nobody wants to hear about that stuff. But anyway, there were certain things that were not even talked about in Smoke and Mirrors that are talked about in here. So if you want kind of an extension of the Smoke and Mirrors documentary, I highly recommend. I highly recommend the Savini book for any Savini fans out there, or even people that are not Savini fans, because I know there have been several people that have said that they didn't care for Savini when they met him in person, that he kind of acted like a dick and stuff. Now, I met him recently, I want to say at a Horror Hound convention maybe, and he was reserved, but he didn't treat me like a dick or anything. And he was just kind of reserved. And again, I'm sure Savini is one of those people that has heard the accolades over and over and over. And I'm sure what I was telling him was not it was not anything that he hadn't heard before. I told him that he and Dick Smith had been a huge inspiration on me. I actually wanted to be a special makeup effects person at one time because I had seen the stuff that Savini had done. I'd seen the stuff that Dick Smith had done. And I actually have a little story about Dick Smith that I have shared in other avenues, but I don't think I've shared it on here. Is back this is back when I was still living with my parents. I got really into writing to different people to try to get interviews with them and stuff. And I've heard people say that not long before Dick Smith passed away, he kind of didn't want people bothering him. I don't know if he had become like kind of a recluse at that point, but at the time that I sent him a letter, he sent me a handwritten letter back. I don't know where the letter is now. I wish I could find it again because to me, that's a great piece of memorabilia that probably not a lot of people have. But I wrote to him and I was, telling him that I was interested in special makeup effects and that he was a big inspiration to me. And he gave me his phone number in the letter and told me that I could call him anytime. And I wish now, hindsight is 2020. I wish to goodness that I wasn't so shy and scared out of my mind to call the man. I wish I had called him. Because, like I said, unfortunately now he's no longer with us. And from what I've heard later in life, for whatever reason, uh, he wasn't interested in talking to people. So, and I don't know, from what I heard, it was kind of like he was paranoid. It was like, where did you get my information to contact me? So I have no idea what was going on there. When people get older, maybe he was senile. I don't know, or maybe he just didn't trust people anymore. When people get older, sometimes they don't trust people. Uh, Anybody that remembers stuff about their grandparents probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, I highly recommend the Savini biography if you haven't already picked it up. If you don't want to get the hardback version, try to find a paperback version or try to find a used copy if you don't want to pay the $60 for it. If you don't think it's worth $60, then don't pay the $60. There's plenty of sellers out there that are willing to sell it for a little bit cheaper. I think I saw it for like $30 or $40 for used copies that were in decent shape. Okay, moving on. I recently got the Scream Factory release of Silver Bullet, um, and I did have a foreign release of this um, because prior to Scream Factory putting it out, I believe that was the only Blu-ray version that was out, and I can't remember if it was Umbrella or what company it was now, but anyway. I did pick this up recently. It looks really good on Blu-ray. Scream Factory did a great job um, putting it out. There, there's some new stuff to this release that was not on the previous release. There's new audio commentary with producer Martha De Laurentiis. There's a new interview with actor Kent Broadhurst, who played uh, Brady's father on the movie, and Brady was Marty's friend, his best friend, the one that ends up getting killed because he stays out after curfew, flying his kite, and the werewolf comes along after dark and kills him. But Kent Broadhurst is a really interesting guy. I enjoyed the interview they did with him. There's also a new interview with the editor, Daniel Lowenthal, and there's some stuff that I believe was on the previous release. There's audio commentary with director Daniel Atias. There's an isolated score selection, an audio interview with composer Jay Chataway, interview with actor Everett McGill, who played Reverend Lowe and the werewolf in the movie. I love Everett McGill. He's so awesome in everything he's in. Um, uh, Watch WrestleMania. I don't know, Wes, if we're going to watch WrestleMania this year or not. I will have to get with Steve on that. I'm not really sure about it. But that is coming up, isn't it? Or for some reason, I was thinking that WrestleMania should have already happened. Am I wrong on that? I can't I can't get anything straight anymore. My brain's just all over the place. But anyway, um, in any event, I'm going to have to talk to Steve about that. Uh, let's see. Oh, there is also an interview with special effects artists Matthew Mungle and Michael McCracken, and there's a trailer and a TV spot and a still gallery. Um, I'd highly recommend picking this up. There's not like oodles and oodles of special features. There's not anything that I can really. I mean, it's interesting, but it's not anything that you would have to have in your collection of special features. It's not. It's not necessarily one of those releases that's a go-to thing on special features. Oh, okay, it's this weekend. I haven't heard Steve say. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get back with you on that one. Uh, but the quality is excellent. I'm glad that Stream Factory put it out, and I recommend it, especially for fans of Stephen King's work. Okay, the next one, and I believe Wes has this one. I thought he picked this one up. Is Memorial Valley Massacre. This is a Vinegar Syndrome release. Um, and I don't know how many of the rest of you have picked this up. It's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to lie to you. Um, but it's movie entertaining. Yes, in my opinion, it is. You have Cameron Mitchell on it as well. Although Steve told me that Cameron Mitchell was just getting a paycheck to support his alcoholism. I don't know how true that is, but that's what Steve always says every time we watch or anybody brings up Memorial Valley Massacre. Um, Steve and I actually did a commentary for this. I don't know for sure if that's accessible um, in the Dead Pit collections or part of the Patreon or whatever. Um, oh, which speaking of the Dead Pit Patreon, um, I think the tiers start at $1. So anybody that wants to get in on that lovely goodness should definitely sign up for that. Also, while we're on the subject of Patreon, I'm going to interrupt myself a little bit with the Memorial Valley Massacre talk. I recently started a Patreon for Seductive Poison / Blood Type Magazine. Um, and I have put out a link. I put a link out on the Seductive Poison and Blood Type Magazine pages where you can go and see if you're interested in joining one of the tiers. I think I have three different tiers: $5, $10, and $25 is the highest you go. And you can take a look at those if you're interested, see if there's anything that you might uh, be interested in paying a little money for. Um, and I will tell everybody that for those of you that don't know, usually, now I think some people might have this turned off, uh, but when you sign up for Patreon and you join one of the tiers, I found this out recently because I joined a Patreon for the Lost Drive In that Darcy is doing for a lot of Joe Bob stuff. But I found out that no matter when you sign up, if the group or person has it signed up to take the money up front for whichever tier you pick, it doesn't matter if you do this at the end of the month. The next month on the first, it's going to charge you all over again. So uh, just keep that in mind before you join any Patreon, that they may have it set up that way. I think that's a choice that, or an option that you can pick on there. But anyway, little shameless promotion there. Now back to Memorial Valley Massacre. there's not a lot of special features in this. I wish they could have put more. But there is a Welcome to Memorial Valley, an interview with director Robert C. Hughes. There's Ranger Danger, an interview with actor John Kerry, who plays one of the Rangers in the movie. There's a promotional still gallery, and there's reversible cover art, which I can show you that reversible cover art here. If you would rather switch it around and not have the new cover art, if you want to have the old, like VHS cover art. But also, I probably shared this story when I was on Steve's live stream about Memorial Valley Massacre. When Steve was working at Fort Knox years and years ago, he had to work. I don't know if it was a Memorial weekend or not, but anyway, he took this to his job and ended up watching because. As he's told me, the job was very boring. It was basically watching security cameras, and so occasionally he would bring movies to watch while he was also supervising these security cameras. Okay, so moving right along is Night of the Creeps, another Scream Factory release. Steve said, "Hey, you didn't already have a Blu-ray copy of Night of the Creeps?" I was like, "No, I for whatever reason I didn't. I believe I have a DVD of it, uh, but I didn't. Prior to this one, I did not have a Blu-ray release." And I was really pleased with this. I have had a chance to look at it. The picture quality is very, very good on it. Um, and also, there are new interviews with the actors Alan Kaiser, Ken Heron, Suzanne Snyder, and more. Uh, there's a great episode of Horror's Hallowed Grounds with Sean Clark. He also has Jason Lively and Fred Decker with him as well, which makes it extra entertaining. There's audio commentary with writer director Fred Decker. There's audio commentary with the cast, which is great. It has the original theatrical ending, deleted scenes, and it has several featurettes: Birth of the Creeps, Cast of the Creeps, Creating the Creeps, Escape of the Creeps, and Legend of the Creeps. And there's also Tom Atkins, Man of Action, for you big Tom Atkins fans. And there's a theatrical trailer and still gallery as well. Uh, Highly recommend this one if you have not picked up a Blu-ray release of this one yet. I'm just checking the time here. Are you guys getting bored yet? Nobody's really saying anything now, so I may have put everybody to sleep. Um, I wonder if Wes is still here, or did he tune out after I said I didn't know about WrestleMania? But anyway, if for anybody that is still in here, I'm going to move right along with my group of movies here. I did pick up the 4K of Beetlejuice. Um, I don't know how many people in here are fans of Beetlejuice. Um, I don't know if I'm like, okay, Wes is still here. Thank God for that. Somebody is still in here. I'm hoping everybody else didn't just completely tune out. Oh, what are you having for supper, Wes? Uh, there's probably going to be delay in when he answers because as we all know, there is a delay with this. But anyway, I don't know how many fans of Beetlejuice there are around here. I guess I'm not a super fan or nothing of it, but I find it entertaining. I think Michael Keaton does a great job as Beetlejuice. Ooh, chicken and broccoli. That does sound delicious. I had I had burgoo for supper, which I'm sure Wes knows what burgoo is, but a lot of you people, especially people in the UK and stuff probably have no idea what burgoo is. A lot of people in Kentucky don't know what burgoo is, which really shocked me when I moved to Louisville and I told somebody I was making burgoo, and they were like, "What's that?" But oh, Scott rewatched Beetlejuice last October for Halloween month, and Wes has the Beetlejuice 4K too. All right, Wes, have you watched it yet? Um, that's the uh, that's the $20,000 question, isn't it? I have not watched my 4K yet, so I cannot comment on the quality of it just yet. I'm making my way through the stack of Blu-rays and 4Ks that I got recently, um, but it's a little. I will say it's extremely light on the special features. And feel free to correct me, Wes, if you watch the special features and there's stuff that's not listed on the back here. But all they list on the back is three hilarious episodes from the animated Beetlejuice TV series and a theatrical trailer, and that's it. Okay, okay. Wes is saving it for October. Yeah, I did hear that it looked great. Unfortunately, like I said, I haven't had the time to actually sit down and watch it, so I can't comment on that for myself. Um, but let's see, we'll just move right along here. Um, Dario Argento Suspiria, not the horrible, horrible remake, but the original Suspiria I got on 4K recently. Now, this is another one that Steve said, "Why did you buy that?" Because I already have it. But anybody that knows me knows I'm weird that way. There are certain movies that I have to have my own copy of. Otherwise, I don't feel like it's really mine. And now I realize that Steve and I are married, and what's his is mine, and what's mine is his, and all that jazz. But I am what I am. So people can call me crazy if they want to. That's perfectly fine with me. But Steve and I recently watched this with our new light setup, where the lights on the TV match the colors supposedly on the film as well. Oh, Scott had the UHD of Beetlejuice on Voodoo. Um, yeah, I would imagine that that would look good on Voodoo as well. Um, I didn't even think about looking at it on Voodoo or seeing if it was. Wes, do you have that on Voodoo? I wasn't sure if you did. I couldn't recall. Um, but back to Suspiria. Steve and I did recently watch it with our new light set up on the television, and the colors, in my opinion, looked really, really good with the colors that were on the film. And the film looks awesome in 4K. Um, I'm not sure. I'd probably have to do a comparison and watch the Blu-ray and then watch this, or even have them going side by side or whatever. Um, but I can't really, at this point, I can't really say if the 4K is way and above better than the Blu-ray or not. Okay, I may have to well, I guess since I have it on 4K, there's really no reason to watch it on Vudu. But I guess I probably should have checked it out on Vudu prior to me buying it. But whatever. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, depending on if I think or not. There's quite a bit of. I'm not going to go through every one of these special features, but this is supposed to be a new 4K restoration of the uncensored Italian 35 millimeter camera negative, done exclusively for Synapse Films. And the director of photography did supervise the color correction, which is good. Yeah, because basically, I guess, like Wes said, the bit rate on Voodoo won't be as good, but should still look good. Um, I guess because that's streaming as opposed to getting it off of a physical media. Um, let's see. There are two audio commentaries, and there's an essay on here. I don't know. Speaking of essays, digitized essays that show up on DVDs, Blu rays, 4K releases, I don't know really how I feel about that. I mean, if I want to read, I'm going to read a book. So I really don't understand why they even bother putting essays for you to read off of your TV. Essentially, that's what you're doing, right? So I don't really know how I feel about that. I don't know how many essays on these discs that I've ever read all the way through because, frankly, I don't know if it's the light quality on the TV or whatever, but it's kind of like looking at a computer monitor for so long. My eyes are going to start hurting and they're going to get tired. And honestly, I'd rather see interviews or something like that, anything but essays on there. But yeah, there's quite a bit of special features. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all of them and bore you guys to tears with it. But I would recommend picking this one up if you don't already have it, especially if you don't have it in any format. Definitely pick up this 4K if you have the ability to watch it in 4K. Um, Now, here's one of Wes's favorites. I still have not had a chance to watch this. I might do it tonight. I might watch it tonight, actually. But I don't think it's a good film. It's one of those that's not good by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm thinking it might be fun. It'd just be a fun little time waster for me. The Forest. It appears to be a slasher esque film. I've heard Wes talk about it many, many times. Um, he seems to enjoy it, so I'm going to give it a watch at some point. Like I said, maybe tonight, and maybe on a future episode, I can let you guys know about that. This is a 2016 HD scan, so I'll have to let you know how that is. There's commentary with Don Jones and Gary Kent. Yes, Wes, we know you think it's better than Final Exam. Okay, little side trip here since Wes brought up Final Exam. Steve and I, or not Steve and I, Wes and I, Steve doesn't like Final Exam either, but Wes and I have went back and forth on Final Exam as we have on Terror on Tour, which is another film that I really enjoy, and Wes says it's complete shit. So, but I don't really understand what the problem is that people have with Final Exam. Why does there have to be a reason why this guy just decides to stop at a college and start killing people? To me, it makes it a lot scarier. Why do you have to explain everything? I mean, a lot of people that complain about this movie have said before, you don't need to explain everything, especially in a horror movie. Why do you have to explain why this guy is doing what he's doing? He's just a crazy guy. Just like, I hate to compare it to some of the recent mass shootings that went on, but it's the same concept. These people just lose their freaking minds one day and decide they're going to start killing people. Okay? So, within this movie, that to me, that's what that guy decided to do. He just, it's a college. There's a bunch of people here. I'll just kill a few people and maybe it'll make me feel better. I don't know. It doesn't need to be explained to me. And I think the other problem people had with the movie Final Exam was it took a while before there was a killing at the beginning of the movie, and then the guy went to a different college campus, and it took him a while before he started killing people off on this campus. Um, but sometimes I like that. You get a chance to meet the characters. There were several characters in this movie that I liked, Radish being one. Don't ask me why the guy's name is Radish, but he's one of those like really super excitable horror fans. But he's also paranoid and stuff. But in his dorm room, he's got all these classic horror posters and uh, I don't know. I just think that that added something to the movie to get to know some of these characters. Now, were all the characters interesting? No, they weren't, and I couldn't see focusing on some of them that they did. Um, One of the frat guys uh, that they called Wild Man, he was entertaining. His buddy was kind of so. He was kind of one of these preppy dudes that you didn't really. I could have took him or left him. Um, but Radish was an interesting character. Wild Man was an interesting character. The character of Janet, the blonde in the movie, who's always in love, it seems. Um, I liked her character. The Courtney, I believe was her name, the main girl in the film. I really liked her. I don't know what's not to like about the movie. Is it the greatest movie ever made? No. Is it the greatest horror movie ever made? No. But is it as bad as people say? Not in my opinion. But back to the forest. Um, yeah, there was commentary with Don Jones and Stewart as Jornsen, and there was a featurette and original trailer. The only drawback is this was put out by Code Red, and anybody that knows anything about Code Red is Bill Olsen runs his company, okay, and his brother runs Scorpion Releasing, and I don't think his brother's like him in any way, shape, or form. But Bill Olsen's thing is he always insinuates himself into these releases somehow. I really don't want to hear the guy. He sounds like he's got one of those really. I'm not saying everybody with a New York accent or New Jersey accent or whatever the heck accent it is that he has is super annoying, because they're not. But his is super annoying. You definitely do not want to listen to any commentary that he has pushed his way into, because he did a commentary with the director of New Year's Evil where he just totally destroyed the commentary. But he always wants to blame the fans or blame anybody but himself for the quality of the films that he puts out not being the best. It's always somebody else's fault. It's never his fault. And so you can only hear that kind of crap so many times before you start saying, oh my God, I don't know if I want to support this guy or not. But there are a few movies that he has put out uh, recently and in the past that was the only way you could get them. So it's either buy them from Code Red or, Of course, I didn't buy this one directly from Code Red. I actually got it from Amazon, so I guess I wasn't giving Bill Olsen my money directly. Maybe indirectly, but not directly. Um, the next film I wanted to talk about that I got recently is Night of the Comet with Kelly Maroney on it. Um, I have not seen this yet. Actually, I've never seen this movie. Uh, I know, shame on that. But I'm looking forward to watching it. I think Steve has said it's a pretty decent movie, a fun movie to watch. It's supposed to be Night of the Living Dead meets Valley Girl. Variety said that about this movie. Um, there is all new audio commentary and interviews with stars Kelly Maroney, Catherine Mary Stewart, Mary Warnoff. Ooh, Mary Warnoff's in it too as well. And special makeup effects creator David B. Miller. There's a theatrical trailer, and it says and more. I guess I'm going to have to actually watch this to figure out what the and more is. But I will have to let everybody know how this movie was when I actually do watch it. Okay. Um, Here's some more that I've had for a little while longer, so I've had a chance to watch most of these. This is Edge of the Axe. This is the Arrow release of Edge of the Axe. This is another one why, or Steve asked me why I got it when he already had a copy. But I've become a huge fan of Edge of the Axe. That's the main reason I bought it. It's done by, it's directed by the Spanish director. Oh gosh, what is his name? I'm 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 forgetting the guy's name. This is awful. Um, but anyway, this was a slasher movie. A slasher movie that I had not heard of prior to Steve telling me about it. And after we watched it, I became a huge fan of this. There's a kill at the beginning that happens in a car wash that is probably I'm going to say it's probably one of the great slasher kills that I've seen. Of course, some people may not call this a slasher movie because there's not really slashing per se. Uh, as the title lets you know, the killer uses an axe in this movie. So I don't. I call most movies like this, especially if they wear a mask, the killer wears a mask and all that. I call them slashers. You know, you can uh, you can either say it's a slasher or not. But I really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. And it looks like, you were supposed to think that it was filmed in California, but I think the majority of the film was filmed in Spain. But really, I can't tell the difference between Spain and California as far as this movie's concerned. Um, Scott says he rewatched Night of the Comet last December. It's a Christmas movie. Oh, well, that'll be good to keep in mind. I'm always looking for other movies to watch at Christmas time besides, Don't Open Till Christmas, Silent Night, Deadly Night, all that stuff. So thank you for letting me know that, Scott. I will definitely be, I hope to watch it before then, but I'll definitely put it on my Christmas watching list. I'm sorry to be drinking so much, but I like to blab so much that my voice starts going after a while. But back to Edge of the Axe. For anybody that has not seen this, I highly recommend it. It's a fun movie. Um, yeah, like I say, other than it's a fun slasher movie. Has one of the greatest kill scenes that happens in a car wash that I've ever seen. So, great way to open a movie. So, future horror directors take note of this movie. And also, there's a lot of good special edition or special features in this. There's a 2K restoration. Uh, there's English and Spanish language versions of the film, but hold on, I gotta check on the dogs. All of them might have not came in. Or maybe they have. Can't keep track of my dogs. That's how you know you have too many dogs when you can't keep track of whether they're in and out. Sarah said she watches Home Alone and Hallmark movies for Christmas. Oh, I watch Home Alone as well. I watch Home Alone, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, A Christmas Story. I don't just watch horror movies. I watch the, more comedy and family type movies as well. I'm not as much into Hallmark movies. Some of those Hallmark movies are kind of hokey. Some of them are okay. Uh, but no offense to Sarah, of course. I'm not saying she has bad taste or anything. But I do watch Home Alone and several other of those Christmas classics that I remember growing up with. Um, let's see, what else does Edge of the Axe have for us? Um, I was talking about there's English and Spanish versions of it, and I actually watched a few minutes of the Spanish version, thinking that maybe there was some extra gore in there that wasn't in the English version or something. But I really couldn't find anything different, so I turned it off and went back to the English version. Now, for anybody that has sat through the entire Spanish version with the subtitles, you can let me know if there's anything extra on there for those of you that have seen both versions of it. Um, there's brand new audio commentary with actor Barton Fawkes, which he's a really, really interesting guy. I had never heard of him prior to this movie, but he seems like a really smart guy, and knowledgeable about film and all that stuff. So it was fun listening to the or watching the interview with him as well. Uh, there's also a commentary with the Hysteria Continues guys. I'm sure Darren, if Darren's still in here, I'm sure he's familiar with Hysteria Continues. Um, these guys are really, really entertaining. I enjoy their show that they do. Steve turned me on to the Hysteria Continues podcast. Um, and I do enjoy their commentaries. They've done several different commentaries for some Arrow releases and some non-Arrow releases. So that's a good one to listen to. There's a like I said, there's an interview with the actor Barton Fawkes who plays the main guy Gerald in the movie. There's also a new interview with actor Paige Mosley who plays Gerald's friend in the movie. This guy was also had a very brief part in Girls' Night Out. Yes, Hysteria Continues is great. Uh, oh yeah, they did just cover the force. I need to go back and listen to that as well. Thanks for reminding me about that, Scott. Um, let's see. Oh, the actor Paige Mosley. He was in Girls' Night Out in a very small part. There's a frat party. I think it's a frat party in the movie, and he he's there with some of the frat guys. I think he's a wanting to get in the fraternity, and so you see him very briefly. Um, Girls Night Out's another good movie that I enjoy that some other people didn't. Namely, Steve does not like Girls Night Out. Girls Night Out also has Julie Montgomery from Revenge of the Nerds, has Lauren Marie Taylor in it from Friday the 13th Part 2. Uh, let's see, who else is there? Oh, and James Carroll from He Knows You're Alone, which is coming out on Blu-ray next month, which I'm very excited about. That's another movie that a lot of people don't care for. It does have the debut of Tom Hanks in it, though. So that might be an interesting thing for people to watch. I know Uncle Bill of Dead Pit told me one time that He Knows You're Alone was like watching old people eat, but I don't really think it's that bad. I enjoyed it. Um, but anyway, highly recommend Edge of the Axe, especially if you have never seen it before. If you have seen it before, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Steve got me this one because I've never had a Blu-ray of Needful Things. Kino Lorber recently had a sale, and to get the free shipping, I think Steve had to spend so much. And so he said, "Do you want one, Dana?" I said, "Well, I'll get Needful Things because I don't I don't have it on Blu-ray, and for some odd reason, our player that we have will not play my DVD of it. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, because I can't tell you. Um, But Needful Things is another really good Stephen King. I think it's a really good Stephen King adaptation. Bonnie Bedelia's on it. There's quite a few people that were in previous Stephen King movies. Bonnie Bedelia was in Salem Blot. Ed Harris was in Creepshow. Um, Also, Max von Sydow as Leland Gaunt, who I guess essentially he's the devil in the movie. But it's basically small town America goes awry because the devil comes to their town, makes everybody crazy, and makes everybody want to kill everybody else. But anyway, fun movie to watch. Charlton Heston's son directed it, which is interesting. Um, it's a little light on the special features. There's audio commentary with Fraser C. Heston, and there's an original theatrical trailer, and that's it for that one. Okay, here's one of my classic favorite movies. One of my favorite movies with Clint Eastwood in it, and also Clint Eastwood directed it, which is Play Misty for Me, which I'm also a big fan of Fatal Attraction. And no, guys, I'm not a bunny bowler, so you don't have to worry about me. I like I like those movies as suspense movies. Um, and in some ways, movies like that are more frightening than our slasher type movies. Our Michael Myers, our Jason Voorhees, because we know that the chances of a supernatural entity that you can't kill is not going to happen. But yeah, some crazy person could stalk you and try to kill you. So to me, that is more frightening than it is fun. And sometimes it's just fun to be a little bit scared. You don't want to be terrified, but you're checking around corners, and every sound is could it be this crazy person? It's just one of those things. And that's why I like movies like this. But as somebody that had recently rewatched Fatal Attraction and then watched Play Misty for me again, I just I see where they might have pulled some really good parts of Play Misty for me and inserted them. It not inserted the actual movie into Fatal Attraction, but inserted the concepts into Fatal Attraction. And so, did Fatal Attraction rip off Play Misty in a way? Kind of. But they're both really good films. And also, sadly, Jessica Walter, who plays the crazy lady in the film that tries to kill Clint Eastwood, um, she recently passed away. But she was a really, really good actress. Really great in this movie. I highly recommend this movie if you have not seen it. If you haven't seen it in a while, pull it back out and watch it again. Um, and there's quite a few special features on here. There's an audio commentary with Tim Lucas on here. There's an interview with Donna Mills. Uh, there's a video essay by Howard S. Berger. And no, as far as I know, this is not the Howard Berger that does special effects. This is a film historian who has the name Howard S. Berger. Play It Again, a look back at Play Misty for Me documentary, which is good. The Beguiled Misty, Dawn and Clint featurette. The Beguiled, by the way, is a movie that I don't believe I've seen, but I've heard good things about it, so I need to try to find a copy of it to watch. There's Trailers from Hell with Adam Rifkin. There's a still montage, um, and there's a few other things on this as well. Great release. Definitely pick it up if you haven't. If you have never seen this movie before, man, you're missing out because this is a really good one. Okay, the next one that I recently watched again, and I had forgotten how great this remake was. I'm a huge fan of the original Night of the Living Dead. And I've always said that movies as old as Night of the Living Dead and The Fly and stuff like that, those are the only movies you should really remake. Um, Home. Well, what do you know? Aaron Fry's in here. Hey, Aaron. I was beginning to think Aaron wasn't my friend anymore because he hasn't talked to me in God knows when. But anyway, that's beside the point. But, and I'm guessing he's saying that Night of the Living Dead remake's a killer movie. I hope that's what he's saying. Um, but, like I said, the really old movies, the black and white version of The Fly, black and white Night of the Living Dead, if you can get a really good director like Cronenberg did The Fly, um, Tom Savini did Night of the Living Dead remake. If you can get the right person to do these, to remake these older movies, then you might just have a gem, you know, or a diamond in the rough, however you want to think about it. But um, I really enjoyed rewatching this again. Like I said, I had forgotten how freaking good this movie was. Um, and the special effects are great. Um, Unfortunately, if you talk to Tom Savini about this, he'll say it was the worst time of his life. He actually said that in a documentary as well, that he was going through a really rough time, going through a divorce and all this stuff. Really bad stuff was going on with him at the time, but it did not stop him from making an awesome remake, in my opinion. Um, and also the special features on this. The Dead Walt making of featurette, which is great. There's Tom Savini commentary, which is always great. And there's a theatrical trailer. Not a whole lot of stuff, um, but the stuff that is included enhances the movie. So recommend this one if you haven't already gotten that. Okay, now here's a one. I'm going to show a couple here that are not horror movies. Surprisingly enough. Um, Beverly Hills Cop. I got on 4K. Now, Steve's always on me about that as well. He will say, you don't need to get comedy movies on 4K. He says they're not the kind of movie you need to get on 4K. He also said they're not the kind of movies that you need to get on Blu-ray, but we're not going to pay attention to what he says about that. We'll just pay attention to what I say about it. And nobody will be the wiser. So, Beverly Hills Cop. This has always been one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies. I'm a fan of Eddie Murphy in his prime. When he was starting out doing movies, and when he was on Saturday Night Live. When he was on Saturday Night Live, and Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd and all those guys, to me that was prime Saturday Night Live. Um, I think Saturday Night Live has kind of fell off the map a little bit, in my opinion, in later years. I mean, there's still some fun stuff. And, when Chris Farley was on there, I thought that was funny. David Spade was funny. There were a few funny guys, but now it just seems like it's hit or miss with the people that they have on there. And it seems like they have to give every freaking person that's on Saturday Night Live their own movie, or several of their own movies. And it's like, why do you have to do that? Because not all these people are great, in my opinion. But Eddie Murphy in his prime was awesome. Okay? And he was funny as hell, too. So, I really liked the 4K. It looked really good. It has a really great soundtrack. I actually have the soundtracks. I believe I have it. I believe I have the soundtrack to this on vinyl back in my vinyl collection. I'll have to show that on a later episode. But it looks really good. Judge Reinhold is also on this movie. Um, this is a Blu-ray and a 4K disc set, and there are two discs, and there are quite a few special features. There's some commentary and behind the scenes, deleted scenes, an isolated score track. Um, yeah, definitely one to pick up. I picked this up at Best Buy for about $17. So if you haven't picked this one up yet and you like Beverly Hills Cop or you like Eddie Murphy movies, definitely pick this one up. The last one I was gonna talk about is, I don't know how many people are familiar with this movie. It's a John Cusack movie called Better Off Dead. Um, I really like this movie, and I have spells where I just want to have John Cusack night. Especially when John Cusack was young. To me, he was easy on the eyes. I don't know if we have it. I don't think we have any women in here besides me tonight. So you guys are probably like, "Ugh, what are you talking about, John Cusack?" Ugh. But I like John Cusack. I still like John Cusack. Um, I thought John Cusack was great in High Fidelity as well. There's another movie that I could talk about at another time. I won't talk about it tonight. That actually has an Evil Dead 2 reference in it, believe it or not. For those of you that have not seen it. But Better Off Dead is really, it's John Cusack did a whole slew of movies back in the 80s. He did Say Anything, which is an awesome movie. He did Better Off Dead. He did One Crazy Summer. I'm trying to think. I'm just losing track of them. I can't think of all of them right now. But he did a bunch of them, and really, I thought all of them were great in their own individual ways. And I just wanted to pick up the steel book of this one, which it's, for those of you that are into steel books will enjoy this. Uh, Amanda Weiss is in here. What's her name? I'm forgetting what her name is. Well, Kim Darby's in it. Oh, Diane Franklin is in this as well. And I tell you, not to go on about Steve again, but Steve really had a thing for Diane Franklin at one time. He said there was a movie, I'm forgetting what the movie was now, maybe one of you guys will remember, where she's totally naked at one point in the movie, and Steve was like, "Oh my gosh, Diane Franklin, Diane Franklin." And which is why I don't know why. I think Diane Franklin was at a convention we went to one time, and I don't know why Steve didn't go up and meet her. I don't know if he had one of those freak outs where he was too nervous to go and meet her, but that's another story for another day, anyway. Um, but that's basically all the movies I had to talk about, and I'm sorry it took so long for me to go through all those. And it is, what time is it now? It's almost 9 o'clock. So, did anybody speak now or forever hold your peace? Is there anything that anybody else would want to hear me talk about on this stream? Because I'm probably going to have to end this stream before long, because I have work tomorrow. I've had several days off, and this is going to kill me going back to work, even though I am still working from home as of right now. So, anybody have anything they'd want to discuss or bring up or ask my opinion on, if you care? I'm just looking to see if anybody's going to ask me anything. Again, I realize there's a delay. My voice is starting to go, so I'm going to take a sip of this. I must have put everybody to sleep because not even Wes is saying anything. And Aaron said one thing, and he's not on here anymore. I guess I'll play with Steve's sound effects thing. Yeah, because that's what I'm hearing right now. Because you guys completely tuned out on me. I know who's not in here. That's usually in here when Steve does his things is Chris V. So he didn't get to partake in my awesomeness. No, I'm not awesome in any way, shape, or form. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Um, Jason Jack was in here earlier, but he didn't say anything but one thing, so I don't know if he's still here or not. Okay, guys. Well, I'll give us about another 10 minutes or so. So if you guys think of something in the next 10 minutes, bring it up. We'll talk about it. But I'm probably going to cut this off about 9 o'clock in about 10, 12 minutes. Um, Wes, are you still here? Wes might have tuned out. He might have went to eat his supper, which I can't blame him. His supper was probably way more interesting than what I was talking about. I was trying to think of something else I could maybe talk about. Oh, I could talk about this. I don't know for sure if Steve and I are going, but I want to go. Um, but it all depends on uh, how the COVID situation is, I guess. But Scarefest is planning on having a convention this year, and I think what what are they having it in October? Oh, good night, Scott. I hope to see you next time I do one of these. Um, but the big reason why I want to go to this particular Scareface convention is because Michael Berryman is supposed to be there. Unfortunately, I've never met Michael Berryman, but I hear he's really really cool. A cool guy to meet and really nice and everything. And he's into providing safe habitats, I guess, for wolves and stuff. And he really loves dogs, and wolves is close enough to dogs for me, so he wouldn't even have to talk about dogs. The whole wolf thing is great to me that he that he gives money for. I know Joe Bob and Darcy had him on the last drive-in when they showed The Hills Have Eyes, and I think it was The Hills Have Eyes. It was either The Hills Have Eyes or Deadly Blessing. I want to say it was The Hills Have Eyes, but anyway, they there was a figure like I think about this tall or whatever that somebody had made. This company, I'm forgetting what the company is that makes these, but they had made one that looked like Michael Berryman, and they auctioned it off for the Wolf Sanctuary, and that was really cool that they did that. I think it went for quite a bit of money, and this lady got it, and the money that she sent for that went to the Wolf Sanctuary that Michael Berryman supports. But that's why I want to go to Scarefest this year, and I told Steve, I said, I really, really, really want to go to Scarefest this year because I want to meet Michael Berryman. And I want to meet Kane Hodder again because as those of you that were here earlier when I was talking about the To Hell and Back documentary, Kane Hodder is an awesome person to meet. And after I read the book about him and also saw the documentary, it makes me want to go up to him and tell him how inspirational all the stuff was that he was talking about, from his horrific burn accident, to, being bullied when he was a kid, and coming out of all of that and being the guy he is. And you know, he seems to be a well adjusted guy. He's doing good for himself and for his family. And I don't know, people like that just inspire me. I mean, that's why Darcy, the mail girl, Joe Bob's mail girl, inspires me too. Like I said before, anybody that's read her blogs or read any information about her, her upbringing was not really good. Her mother called her ugly. When she was, I don't know, this guy she was involved with at one time, I don't know if she was married to him or not. I believe she was. He basically kept her hostage in a hotel room with her son for a long time, and she was finally able to escape. And it's like, damn, she came out of all of that to be what she is now. Forget about the porn stuff. Like I said, I'm not interested in porn, but I'm interested in Darcy as a person. And no, Darcy is not her real name. Diana Prince is not her real name. Um, and I'm totally forgetting what her real name is. I'm sorry, Darcy. But yeah, um, those kind of people inspire me to try to be a better person and to come out of my shell even more than I've come out of my shell in recent years anyway, because anybody that knew me a long time ago and anybody that knows me now, it's like two totally different people, you know. Um, because I actually talk to people now. I'm not all freaked out and shy, and um, I'm a little bit of a blabbermouth. You could always ask Steve about that. Um, but I've met in my horror journeys. I've met a lot of awesome people. I met Wes and Aaron of Dead Pit. I met Steve, who's now my husband. Um, I've met just tons of friends that I still have now. And that was the only way that I could do that was breaking out of Hancock County and actually going to conventions and sharing stories and being around like minded people. I was never going to get that in the environment I lived in. And I've heard a lot of, Aaron and Wes, I've heard them say that their environment was not conducive to, like, they were horror fans and you know music fans that they liked the type of music that not everybody liked. And so instead of us becoming psychopaths, we were constructive with our the stuff that we were fans of, and it helped me meet a person who I love very much and ended up marrying. It helped me make a lot of friends. But again, I was never going to have that kind of life that I have now if I hadn't broke out of my home life and ventured out a little bit. So, there is hope for those of you that may be still struggling with being shy or not really knowing how to break out of where you're at, and or getting out of the rut, or the same day in and day out. See, I have to, I guess it's like reinvent yourself. I have to feel like I have to reinvent myself every few years because I get stuck in a rut and I feel like there's nowhere else to go, and you feel like you're a hamster on a wheel. And um, I'm sorry if I'm getting a little personal with everybody, but like I said, I tend to ramble on. We got about 3 more minutes here before I'm going to cut this thing off. Um, Again, does anybody want to bring up anything in these last 3 minutes, or are you just going to let me ramble on for 3 more minutes? Uh, Is Darren still here with us, or has he left? Yeah. Again, Aaron said one thing, and I haven't heard anything else from him, so I don't know if he's still here or not, or if Wes is still here. I know Scott left. Well, I've really enjoyed this. I like doing these with Steve, and I like doing the horror roundtables or the Patreon roundtables with the Dead Pit guys, and uh, I like doing all that. But sometimes I just like to do my own thing. And like I said earlier, I hope to have Jenny on these at a later time when her life is not so filled. And she's not so busy with school and kids and work and all that good stuff. Uh, and I hope to be doing this on my own setup in the future. But like I said earlier, this this had to work for now because I'm trying to get things set up to do live streams, and YouTube makes you wait 24 hours to activate your channel to be able to do that. And I wanted to do one tonight, so unfortunately I couldn't use my setup, which is why I'm using Steve's setup tonight. Um, but I think it's 8:59, so I believe I'm going to cut this off. And I've enjoyed this. I hope to do this again soon. Probably on the weekends more than likely, but might be some surprises through the week or something. So keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes posted on Facebook. If I'm doing anything, I'll be sure to put it on there. I'll let everybody know. And thanks, guys. I've really enjoyed this. Hope to be doing it again soon. Good night, everybody.